Welcome to another edition of Tech Fireside Chats with your host, Joel Martin. Take it away, Joel.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Paul. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Joel. Thanks for inviting me on. It's fun to be here.
Well, cheers. Thanks for joining us today.
All right.
So we have Paul from AdMobilize, and you can check it out, admobilize.com. No banner needed. It's pretty easy, AdMobilize. Maybe I'll spell it. I'll put it up on the screen. So I've known this company since 2014. I've been bumping into Rodolfo, the CEO and founder, at every trade show known to man, CES, Digital Signage Expo, which is not around anymore, but I'd see they'd have a great booth there. Infocom. And then my buddy, the only guy in the industry that would travel more to trade shows than I did, Mike Neal, who lived in New York, basically would come in for a 40-minute meeting and fly back. DPAA, Mobile Marketing Association, Event Marketer. I'm just listing all the shows I would see you guys at, right? Event Tech. I mean, literally, you guys were at every trade show back in 2014, 2015. You made a name for yourself. And I think, Paul, you came on in 2019, you said?
That's right. I joined end of 2019 as a colleague, though, like you, I've been around AdMobilize for since essentially the founding. Ran into Rodolfo when I was government affairs and chief privacy officer at ADT.
You have Pfizer, ADT, right? U.S. Navy?
Yes, Navy, ADT. And then cybersecurity startup called Zingbox, all before coming to AdMobilize. But I saw what Rodolfo was doing. You're right. They were out there that had good buzz. I was interested in edge devices. I was interested in data. And I was also interested in some of the development tools they had. So long story short, myself and another ADT executive, we even joined the angel round. So I've been evangelizing over that same period of time, but came on board to help with partners and alliance relationships and a whole bunch of other stuff for Rodolfo at the end of 19. Nice.
And I got this like generic screen in the background. I don't want to alert people. AdMobilize is really cool. We're not taking your data. It's anonymized, right? AVA, anonymized video analytics. Maybe you can give us a little background. So how did the company start?
Well, Rodolfo, he's kind of a serial entrepreneur with a really successful background. In fact, he was on the first season of Shark Tank, actually, with one of his tools, and he and his brother actually won. But prior to that, he was working in hospitality at the Breakers here in Palm Beach.
Did they take shark money? I didn't see that episode.
Did he take shark money? I don't.
You gotta look it up now.
Yeah, you have to. Well, everybody should look that up. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But that was prior to founding AdMobilize, because he was he's a Cornell grad. He had been mentored with a couple of the leadership team in Palm Beach there at the Breakers, and got an interest in, my goodness, we're spending money on advertisement. We have these screens, but we don't have any way to really help us do it well. Real-time metrics help us make decision-making based on what's happening today. And that's when he thought of AdMobilize, which, as you pointed out already, we deliver through sensors, autonomous engagement analytics for digital out-of-home and retail. But that's how it got started, from his own practical experience in trying to solve a problem for a rather innovative and successful hotel here in the beaches, Palm Beach area.
Yeah, so you guys were in Miami Beach until recently, right?
Yeah, still there. I live in Palm Beach area, but the team, Rodolfo, Mike.
Here we go. I was looking for the perfect background picture that could show what you do.
There you go. They're down in Palm Beach. Our CTO is based on the West Coast. We've got sales in LATAM and EMEA business director over in London. And we have our development teams here in the United States and in Latin America.
They're in Bogota, right?
That's correct.
Fantastic. Good. Okay, we got the background. I think you have some slides that we were going to go through because I want to share how cool your stuff is. And I've worked with you guys over the years. I worked with Mike on an event technology project where an event producer, actually a good friend of mine at InCharged, Jessica, wanted to count how many people came to a trade show booth, how many people left. I think we were using your Android. No, it was a Raspberry Pi, and I'd like to think it was called. It was one of your AI sensors, and they put in a little box in the booth in the trade show, and it was basically plug and play. And you can count how many people walked by the booth, how many people came back, and they had a little back end platform. And I thought it was great for the meetings and trade show industry, because you want to know if you're spending money on a trade show booth, if it was worth it. And you get a lot of cool stuff like age, gender, dwell time. I don't think we did mood, but that would be cool. I've seen it at the DPAA, the mood presentation, where you could see people's mood, and then you could play a different video depending on the person's mood, right, or gender. I've always thought in digital out of home that was a great app. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. You have a little slide here, and I'd like to share with everybody because I think you have amazing technology, and this is something that we love working with.
Super. And a couple of slides I think that'll just frame what some of the issues you talked about. Oops, let me get to the top.
That's okay. We show PowerPoint all the time or Keynote.
Yeah. Let me make it so your audience can see it real well. Okay. And to the point you were just making,
majority of my audience are other CEOs, which is really funny.
I love it.
Yeah, like the people writing me are like, "Hey, Joe, I just saw your podcast. It's another CEO. Can I be on it?"
There you go. Well, I'm thrilled to be here in such a crowd. So I'm honored, not only for AdMobilize, but for myself. You hang out in that kind of group.
Small audience, but growing.
All right. So as you point out, what we do at AdMobilize, and you saw at trade shows, was the ability to bring to screens analytics by who's in front of it, how are they engaging with the content. You have brands and owners that invest quite a lot in not only the screens, but in the creation of content. And just as Rodolfo first saw at the breakers, you want to apply some real analytics, and we use sensors to that. As we've touched on already, this is facial detection. It's an image collection, but it's not the same as facial recognition. Nothing we do here is storing any templates, or comparing them to anything else. Why that's important is, I think there's two call to actions outside that we're trying to respond to. One is to give analytics, and the second is to do it in a privacy compliant way.
You don't want to be a minority report, right? A police state.
Exactly, and our customers, they really don't want that either. They don't need it. We're not following anybody around the store.
We're not going to name any countries where they can look up a certain population and see where you've been, who you are, your phone number, where you live, who your girlfriend is, what you've posted on social media. The rabbit hole gets really scary, exactly. But I love the fact that you're anonymized.
Yeah, it certainly can. And I put all that on the right side of image collection spectrum, and we're on the far left side of the image collection, where we help see, hey, that is a human face in front of the screen, and how is that human interacting? So as you just quickly, there's a dashboard, but it points out some of the things that you'd want to see, like how do you the attribute characteristics of the individual in terms of age characterization, gender characterization, how long they're looking at the screen, tracking that over the times of day, and even how are they doing it in terms of specific content, right? To the far left there, those are individual media files, and those same analytics can be provided on a media file basis. And it's quite helpful, right? Because you're taking this analytics that folks wonder about. Well, did anybody come by the screen today? Did they?
I love this example because it shows, and let me just make this a little bit bigger. It shows adult happy, right? Adult surprised. And you get, how many moods are you guys getting now?
Well, there's a number there. For most customers, we're breaking it down into just an even smaller or broader groups where we're just trying to show engaged, neutral, not engaged, right? I think that's more meaningful a lot to people than some of these differentiators, but we can do quite a lot. You see examples there where you can see, they look at it for X amount of time. There's a counter running. The attribute of their age and gender is calculated, and then based on some other machine learning and computer vision tools, we assign things like, hey, I'm angry, I'm happy, etc. So you can do quite a lot. So
well, I'm going to tell you a story, true story. I had a huge multi-million-dollar pitch that involved this technology about 3 years ago, and the client was super interested. And they had the budget too. And I'm not going to name the beer company, but the idea was they would give you different beers, and you would have to know your beer, and then you would sample each beer, and the camera was going to tell us in real time if they liked the beer. They were surprised, right, when they found out the real beer brand they were taking. And this is one of the technologies we were going to put behind it. So it was a photo booth experience where you're sitting down drinking the different beers, and then we wanted to get your reaction, whether you loved it or hated it, when you tried the different flavors, right? And from the agency side, they were like, oh my God, it's social media, it's interesting, it's data, it's analytics. So from an experiential point of view, I think the technology is a hit because you can get real reactions from people and quantify it, right? And you can even know if people sometimes, in some cases, whether it's a fake reaction, but they loved it. They absolutely loved it. Sorry, jumped in. It's my role.
No, I like that you did. You made me even think of another tangential use case that
what I do. I got to charge you for that though.
Yeah, that we're involved in. We're actually working with an employer and using this technology to see how the employees are responding to new products and training that they're doing. And you can kind of say, well, this based on the overall reaction. So all that's possible. But I think to your major point, the main use cases out there that you do, you can advance quite a lot of use cases with just attributes about age, gender, and their overall response and recognition time. It's really powerful. Here's an example you see of what we can do inside a mall where it's bi-directional. You can count the number of people coming and going.
And they're not wearing masks. That's bad.
Yeah, that's true. This is a pre-COVID, but I'm glad you brought that up because we also have an aspect of our technology that can assess not only as a person wearing a mask or not, which can be used for, purposes about how our policies being enforced coming in and out of the store, but the technology can adapt with you wearing a mask and still deliver those overall attributes. So
I gotta get you to talk to Troy and Mateus because they have the software at CodeFirm that can tie that in with the temperature measurements as well in real time with the perspiration, heart rate, and cough suppression if they're not coughing or they're holding back a cough. Combine your stuff with their stuff, I think it would be great. And I love this, the vehicle counter. For micromobility, I think this is amazing. So tell me about this.
Sure, but before we get off that subject you just brought up, let's do a jam set. It'd be fun to bring the teams together and innovate around those concepts.
We will. What are you doing Thursday?
Let's book it in the afternoon.
Okay, done.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
Great. So here, as you point out, yes, analytics. Again, it can put a box around a certain area, measure two-way traffic. For media owners and monetization strategies, I think this is really cool too, because imagine if that traffic slows down, you might have a digital out-of-home ad play that, there might be a 3-play loop, and depending on the speed of traffic, one car might see all 3 loops, right? And
for the out-of-home billboard industry or even kiosks, this is fantastic. So
it's real-time first-party data, right, which can be used for the reasons we've talked about already, but also how about just proof of play in terms of adding that real proof of play data to existing contracts, right? It's really cool. A summary of some of the top use cases you would use these types of technologies for. Certainly, what's the customer's experience, but you can also do product marketing. You can do A/B testing with this. You can think about things. Can I change the content based on these attributes to drive a better experience? Or as we've shown with partners, you can also do it to say, can I take some other KPI like sales performance, change things based on what I'm seeing, and does it make a change? And we have
that emotional response to sales performance could be a data set, right?
Exactly, and we have really concrete data that shows to what degree. We have use cases put on by major global partners who have demonstrated double-digit lifts.
Again, brings me back 3 years ago when I was running the photo booth network. We were talking about measuring if the trailer was scary enough. When we did the scare experience inside the photo booth. So, you're taking a picture, you think you're getting a free picture, all of a sudden a monster pops on the screen, scares the living bejesus out of you, and people jump up because the strobe light comes on. And then we get the measurement in real time. We know how scared were they. But anyways, again, I'm looking back upon past pitches where we talked about this technology, but I love it. It is a benefit to the brand, to the agency, and to the people pitching it, because experiential will come back in the post-COVID world. So I love just talking about the future. And it's no longer science fiction. You guys have it.
Oh, for sure. That story you're sharing about measuring the scariness factor, you're making me think of.
I've had a lot of. I grab technology and I embrace it, man. That's what I'm all about. I mean, it's tech fireside chats, right?
Yeah. Well, you're making me think about the use case. I don't know if you've seen it, which came out of Europe, where the comedy shop owner installed camera technologies and instead, lowered his entrance fee, but charged per laugh.
Oh, interesting. I like that. I like that.
Folks would sit down and go, "Oh, you're not going to be able to make me laugh." And he's like, "Okay, well, it's not $50 to get in here anymore. It's, X, but we're going to charge you per laugh." And in fact, the revenues went up. So it's thinking about how you can use this technology to have a better experience, but also I think really you can either validate your monetization or improve it, right?
Love it. Absolutely love it. Huh. Good stuff.
Just quickly here, I would say also, I think one of the big thing that's coming and I think has impact for mobility, and I'm enjoying exploring with you these use cases is number 2, the effect on programmatics. Programmatics opens up an opportunity for the screen owners and other technology owners to generate some passive income to offset expenses, right? Or maybe in certain use cases, actually turn into a positive stream over and above. But in the mobility space, where you might have charging stations in a certain market that have screens and use some of the technologies we've showed already to measure the audiences and the car flows that contribute to a programmatic sell, that could be a really big thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. And it's very real, and it's, as you know already, it's happening.
It is. So I love it. First party data. You guys have and it's anonymized. Again, very, very important. There's no facial recognition. I think we covered a lot of great ground. We are coming up a little bit on time here. Some of our partners. I heard a rumor you're working with my good friends at Samsung.
Yeah, one of the things we've done at AdMobilize is try to build out a really strong ecosystem, right? And it includes partners like Vistar, Broadsign, et cetera, who can deliver programmatic, but it also includes organizations that bring out the various computers, simply DOOH, Intel, but now BrightSign, big important partner of ours, but also now working with Samsung to integrate right into the system on a chip, so that for the right use cases, that when you order a Samsung screen,
it's already in their CMS. It's on their chipset.
Yeah, the AdMobilize is, and you can take a CMS approach either through their Magic Info CMS or through an existing CMS, other existing CMS. The Samsung platform, even though they have their own CMS, it's CMS agnostic. There's plenty of other CMS.
Is it still Magic Info? I see it there on your list.
Yeah, so Samsung's is Magic Info.
Magic Info, yeah.
Yeah, but
I've worked with all of them. I've worked with Broadsign, Magic, and Vistar.
So it's a great ecosystem. I think that's also important, Joel, because it points out that, hey, this stuff is really real. You can think about this, you can invest in it, and you'll have all the support that you need from all the players that are helping you deliver, out of home retail and these other use cases. So it's an exciting time.
It really is, and I see all this innovation happening despite the post-COVID world we live in now. So, Paul, we're on time. So, any last thoughts? Anything you're doing to stay active during COVID?
Yeah, what I'm really doing is working hard to stay here in South Florida, get outside and ride my bike. I'm a cyclist. I love to do it. I'm fortunate enough to live near A1A, so I can get out and ride my bike. And
for you, man.
I'm enjoying doing that, and luckily I've got a couple of other partners. Our cycling group got held back a bit during early COVID, but now we're out riding again. So I'm looking.
I'm stuck in a virtual cabin, so I can't get out. Well, thanks for
your nice fire. So you're in good shape. Hey, Joel, I really had fun here. Thanks for asking the questions and giving us a chance to talk a little bit about AdMobilize and about just how the whole industry is taking shape and what's happening in mobility too.
Programmatic is the future, and I love what you guys are doing. And we'll talk later in the week. Thanks, Paul. Cheers.
Yep. Cheers, Joel. Bye-bye now.
Thanks for watching, and join us next week on Tech Fireside Chats.